So welcome everybody. Appreciate y'all being here. Today we're going to hear Lee Worley is going to give us an overall department update. We've got Danielle and Buddy from TyBot to discuss some of the technologies in the reinforcing space. And then we'll go through the National Training Fund reports, and then we'll have a good Q&A. And with that, I will turn it over to Lee Worley.
Right on. Hey, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Hope everybody's getting ready for the holiday season. It's real exciting. I'm particularly excited. I'm expecting a grandson here in a couple of weeks, so head back to Oregon over the holidays and looking forward to my extended family. In any event, I hope everybody's doing well. A couple of announcements before we turn it over to James and to TyBot. Got some requests for some information from a couple people, but first let's go over. So the Apprenticeship and Training Department is obviously gearing up already for the July Annual Instructor Training Conference. And we've got 2 new courses that are coming out. Conference instructor materials, conference materials, registration materials will be sent out usually early to mid-March at the latest. But I just wanted to let you know that we're going to have a new PDC course coming out. It's called Leadership Development for the Apprenticeship Coordinators. And Mandolin Mole will be teaching that. And then Jason Corder is working with one of our vendors for, let me find my paperwork, the fundamentals of abrasives and grinding, blending, grinding, and polishing course. And that's a 20-hour course, as is the leadership course. So be on the lookout for that in March, and then some of the announcements. Last week, usually that first week in December is pretty busy in DC. A lot of labor unions have a lot of big meetings, and then they usually have a Christmas party. And then Steve Rank usually holds his December Safety and Health Roundtable during that week. And one of the guests he had was the Assistant Secretary for MSHA. And he came and spoke, and Mike Sampson and I got to meet him and talk to him and give a presentation regarding the Ironworker program and how we would like to reestablish an MSHA Ironworker agreement. Sent him a lengthy email afterwards, let him know it was a pleasure to meet him. And we told him about how we would like to get that partnership back that we had years ago. And he was really open to it during the meeting. He replied to the email that I sent, and we're going to schedule a meeting in January. So hopefully the Ironworker MSHA Mine Safety and Health Administration agreement will hopefully be drafted and instituted sometime in 2024. Now, a couple of requests for information. NAPTU, the North American Building Trades Union, has a question. Are you incorporating any hydrogen, which is fuel hubs, et cetera, into your apprenticeship or journey level worker training? If so, would you mind sharing? So James, if you would, I'll have you put my email up there somehow when we're done under notes, and they can just email me directly if they have any hydrogen training that you're currently doing. Let's see, Harmon, the National Superintendent for Harmon, wanted to know, there's a requirement that a glazing contractor is certified under the North American Contractor Certification Program for Architectural Glass and Metal, certified under Architectural Glass and Metal Technician Certification Program. He's looking for support in addressing this if we are asked for a certification. I've made numerous phone calls and struck out, but if you guys are doing anything regarding this glazing certification, contact me so I can let Harmon know, maybe contact you for more information. And then training coordinator for Local 512 called me. He couldn't make it on the webinar today. Pete Teglin, Minneapolis, Minnesota. He asked, is there any carbon capture training opportunities in your area? He said, North Dakota is in our jurisdiction. They have a few projects coming up. And are you aware of any carbon capture specific training? So I'll put this up in an email later. But if you know something right away, go ahead and get back to me. And that is all I got. It's going to be an exciting 2024. There's lots going on. I'm sure it's going to fly by. But let's turn it over to TyBot, James, and get them rolling.
All right, perfect. Danielle and Buddy, you should have the floor, and you are muted still.
Oh, real quick, I was supposed to introduce them. Sorry about that. So for those of you that were in Michigan last July, TyBot appeared on our vendor night, and they demonstrated some of their robotic equipment. And they would like to introduce some training opportunities to everybody, and more than happy to use this platform as a way for them to do a little presentation. So again, James, sorry about that. I should have done that right away, but everybody please welcome Danielle, Buddy from TyBot. Go ahead.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so good afternoon. From Pittsburgh, I think there's people from all around, so there might be morning still in some other areas, but good afternoon from where we're at. I want to thank you guys for having us, be a part of your presentation here today in the webinar. Just being able to communicate with you guys, show you some of the ideas and thoughts we have behind, our training program, getting information out to the apprenticeship programs and seeing how we can make it all work. I think there's some good synergies there. So first off, we just kind of want to introduce ourselves, who we are, our backgrounds a little bit between Danielle and I. All right, so for me, my name is Bud. You guys probably saw Edward in the email. I go by Buddy, so Buddy Baca. I'm the Director of Operations here at Advanced Construction Robotics. I've spent 5 years here. I started out as, kind of in the labor field with assembling the robots, getting them out in the field when we first got them, deploying them, learning everything there is to know about the TyBots, and now IronBot. So, everything from building it to deploying it, using it in the field, troubleshooting it, servicing it, you name it, I'm involved firsthand with it. Prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. After the Marine Corps, I did aviation maintenance for another 10 with that, and also spent some time fighting wildland firefighting. So not a rod buster. I did twist some wire up. There is safety wire involved in aviation maintenance, so I've got that in my repertoire, but it's nothing that, in comparison to what you guys are doing.
And then, hi guys, my name's Danielle Proctor. I'm the president and CEO of ACR. Actually got my start in the software business back in the day, back here in Pittsburgh. And in 2006, started a DBE, structural steel erection rehab construction company, which I ran for almost 15 years. So my experience with this is I was signatory with Local 3. They did all of the heavy lifting. So I've been around ironworkers for a long time. When I sold my shares in that company, I took a little bit of time off and was approached to come and help this company kind of get it up and running, make sure that the products are going to the right users. So I'm really, really excited to be back in a situation where I can both use software and my construction, and I'm even more excited to be back and talking with the ironworkers. So.
All right, so before I get started, I just want to ask if there are questions that come up while we're kind of presenting, if everyone could just save them for the end, we can address everything at the end. That way we could kind of work through what we are. So on this slide, you guys are going to look at, this is what we're doing, right? Where we've been, who we've been working with. You guys, 52 projects across 13 states. We've worked with 8 locals throughout those, different states that we're working with unions. Just various different projects. So bridges, we're on bridge decks only, no roadways yet. We've done a tilt up kind of a test. We're able to do work like that, but primarily right now we're concentrating on the rebar installation on bridge decks. So TyBot, we do have IronBot. So you see there's IronBot pounds. We've had 2 projects where we've got the place steel using IronBot. I know that at Impact, we had a video running. And, as we get through this at the end, if anybody's curious, we can show you a video of IronBot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as far as TyBot goes, in comparison to what is seen on the demo trailer, that top picture there shows a TyBot with a bidwell. TyBot runs on the same speed rail system as a bidwell. There's no programming, mapping, calibration, or BIM. There's 2 cameras that look down at the rebar mat, and they pick out the intersections themselves. So the video of the side-by-side here, where you see the 2 methods, there's actually 3 methods in comparison. You have the TyBot against a handgun, and you also have the TyBot with, the traditional method of the hip reel. So it's not going to blow you away. It's not meant to just go, oh my God, that thing is so fast, and it's just ripping through. It is the marathon game, right? It's the sprint. I guarantee you, your traditional ironworkers who are your A team are going to go out and school this thing if they try to race it and go side by side with it. This is just meant to get rid of that bulk tying, bent over type of work, so the ironworkers can be reallocated to better use of their manpower.
Yeah, just to kind of follow up with Buddy's statement, this really is an augmentative tool. All of the deployments that we go out on, we're keeping the exact same rod buster crew. Like Buddy said, it's just handling, when we call bulk tying, it's about 80%, 85% of the main deck. The frame tying, the obstructions, the barrier bars, all that's still going through ironworker work.
Right. All right, so some of these jobs that we've gotten on, especially, I don't want to pick on the Midwest, but this is kind of where it came about. This was
Betsy Ross.
And we also had Betsy Ross in the Philadelphia area, where operators unions have tried to come up and claim the TyBot as it's their piece of equipment. So Impact has issued a claim that TyBot is under the jurisdiction of the ironworkers and it's a tool of the trade. So we are trying to man the robot. We are manning the robot, not trying to, but when we go to these union jurisdictions, we're putting an ironworker with the robot, and our goal is to have these TyBots, have ironworkers trained on these TyBots to be able to, they have their hip reels, they have the handguns with them, they're able to work side by side with the TyBot as a spot checker, and then also use the TyBot with the belly box and give it the commands it needs to be able to operate through the tying process.
And I have to give a quick shout out. I don't know if Mike is on the call or not. Anytime that this has become an issue, he has stepped up, he has contacted them. And I think we've had 4 situations where it's been brought up, and every single one, it has been agreed upon that it is ironworker work. So the Department of Labor, we can get this letter out to anybody. It was sent out actually 2 years ago via Impact. So James, if anybody wants this, we can get a copy of the DOL letter that basically says, whoever ties, whoever places rebar, that's who using TyBot.
All right, so what are we doing in order to get some of this information out to the apprenticeship programs, to ironworkers as we encounter them on the job site? We're still working through that. For me, I'm kind of the local knowledge base when it comes to training our new, we call our internal people who use the robots, we call them robot supervisors. So how are we getting them information? So we're going through the process of creating this. This is an introductory video course, right? So you get somebody here on day 1 and they go, what the heck is a TyBot? We want to give them this introductory video course. Right now, we're in the process of working on this video library. We have 3 complete videos. We're actually going to run one here for you. But what the intention of them is to give an introductory course to somebody who's never seen this before, just trying to learn what the nuances are behind using one. And as they go through, they'll be able to get kind of checked off. Did you watch video 1? Did you watch video 2? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have the whole library set up, and we also don't have like a pass or fail type of indicator for each person that is being trained. So we're still in the process of going through that. We're in the process of getting feedback, right? The videos, while we may be impressed with them, there may be stuff, the trainers kind of pick out and go, oh man, this could be better if you did this or had a certain layout and explain this thing this way.
So we can talk about local 3. I can run the radio.
Okay, we'll run the video. We'll run one of the videos at the end.
Local 3.
Yeah. So example of getting some feedback on training is we were able to host our local 3. We had Paul Riverchak come in, and he came up and kind of saw what we have here in our facility in Allison Park. We kind of described what we have in Butler with the larger outdoor facility. Showed him we showed him the videos, getting feedback, and also following the videos, we do have an internal training process where we have like a certification level 1 that is just a basic operation, and we implement this when we go in the field and we're training some of the locals to use the robot. So it's on the job training. It isn't the full setup and teardown of the equipment. It is geared more towards the robots already on the speed rails, how to use it, what do you need to support it, what are things called, if something breaks, how do I kind of troubleshoot and navigate it. So that would be certification level 1. We get into certification level 2. That's where we would like to have it at a training facility, because you're able to show people a little more in depth and not under the gun of a project, right? That's probably the whole kind of nuance between this. Is we get out in the field and we do a setup and tear down. We're under the gun. We want to be on the bridge and be tying within a couple hours, if not within an hour. So, to sit there and point out things, oh, you got to do things this way. Training facilities will allow us to do that. When we talk about the setup and teardown, it also will allow us to go into some more advanced operations. Maybe when you're on a square bridge, you don't have you're not operating on a skew or a radius and things like that. So we're able to show people at a training facility a little more of those in-depth kind of procedures that are to be followed when you encounter some different, circumstances on a bridge deck.
So, this was really why we were excited to come talk to you guys. This is something that, Lee, we've been talking about, is getting that video library and kind of portal access so that people can start getting used to the equipment, used to TyBot, especially if it's on a job site. You guys will already kind of be aware of it and be able to get up and running. The goal is to get iron workers supervising these machines. We have a very small fleet of people here, and we're much more interested in just doing our development or our field prototyping work. We have zero interest in staffing and running these machines as they expand in the US. And hopefully Canada. I think I see Canada's on this as well. These two levels of certification, but kind of, buddy, you know, this is something we're interested in talking to you guys a bit more about so that we can make it more of a solid program. And we're interested to see, you know, how do you guys want to get it out there? Are there regional training facilities we could set this up at? You know, does it come to Pittsburgh? As we see TyBot and IronBot down the road coming out, I think it's just an excellent opportunity for the ironworkers to get acclimated to it.
All right, so when we look at this, you know, we're trying to create a good synergy between the two of us, right? We've already talked about that. There's a good feel between wanting to get this to be the tool of the trade for the ironworkers. So we go through this process, you know, we want to, you know, the future. Right now, we're dealing with the future live, but as with you guys coming in, you know, this could be a good future, a good tool for you guys to use in the field. So, you know, the bullet points there just, you know, point out some key benefits that, you know, could be prolonging careers and just making things easier on folks and letting them concentrate their skill sets in the areas they need to be concentrated on.
So we wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet because we know you have additional discussions after this, and also leave some time for questions. We have videos if there's more items about TyBot, IronBot, kind of at your disposal.
Did you want to share the video, or did you want to go into Q&A?
We can show, I think the belly box is probably, you know, there's two big ones here. We'll do the belly box because this shows you how, if you encounter a TyBot on your site. So that's an example of one of the videos that Buddy's been pulling together.
Awesome.
The library is going to be available. You know, our intention is to have a library available. So even, you know, the OJT trained folks, if they encounter something that they're not used to, they can pull it up and go, oh, what am I working on? I need to put another spool of wire in. Maybe it's a new guy who hasn't done it in a while, and he's able just to go and pull up that video module and kind of go through and pick out what he's looking for, right? He could, within a couple minutes, figure it out and be on his way.
So this is Lee Worley. So I would say since last July, just up until last week, I've been getting calls. Obviously, our reinforcing director, Mike Rellian, has contacted me. I've had some district council presidents ask me if I knew about this was coming. And they're asking me to put this out there. That's why we had TyBot on today. And if you're doing a lot of reinforcing in your area, you may want to consider this, even though you may not have heard about it in your area. But if you're doing a lot of the reinforcing work. So let's try to, I know we all got a busy schedule, but sometimes I hate to react later when we could act now. So if you got the time, if it doesn't fit into your apprenticeship courses, schedule it as a journeyman upgrade and invite your apprentices. I don't know if Buddy and Daniel are available for weekend training, you know, like maybe every Saturday for a month or whatever it takes to get this done, or through the week. It's up to each individual training center. But sometimes if we can try and stay ahead of the game, it's usually nice, because reacting later, then we end up rushing and everybody needs it at once and they won't be available. So I think, Buddy and Danielle, you're going to get some hits on this. I know you will. I just don't know when. You know, this is a slow time of year for training, and then January, everything gets ramped back up in its full swing for 2020.
We could probably use a couple more weeks. Like you said, you know, we're finalizing the videos. Local 3 has been nice enough. We're going to throw it down there. They're going to look at it and see if there's anything we missed. Like, oh, I wish I knew this, or they're going to throw it in front of a couple of their apprentices. And then the goal is I'll be out there at World of Concrete with you guys. And then we can start announcing how we'll have a program that's available for you guys. My goal is by World of Concrete, which is January 23rd.
Now, if I missed this, forgive me. Is there some sort of like a completion certificate or certification as an operator? How is this?
Not yet. It was going to be something we'd be interested in talking to you guys for. You know, we're not classroom ready curriculum people, right? So we've pulled a lot of information together, you know, and it's all right now in Buddy's brain or paper. But no, we haven't figured out, you know, it's kind of now talking to you guys and saying, you guys know how to train people. What could we do? Or is there a certificate, or is it a qualification?
Our employers, they really enjoy seeing something on paper of any type of training. So whether you can come up with a template, if not, I'm sure we could help you on something like that. But our employers really like to see documents of training, even if it's not of a certification, it's just general training they want to see. If it's on their project, they want to know what kind of training they've had.
Yep. No, that's good to know.
Yeah, so Danielle, you guys spoke about kind of a training aspect, and we've got I'm seeing 2 different compartments there, one kind of on the job setup and operation, but then you spoke about a training one maybe being in a regional training center. So explain to us how that would look equipment wise. What type of footprint would that take up to get kind of a training mock-up in some of our regional training centers, and what would that cost generally be?
So you'd be looking at basically getting a TyBot. Our current facility, we have an indoor and outdoor test bridge that we put it on. So what's the footprint on that? 40 foot?
Our indoor test bridge is at about 24 foot wide. We could even go narrower if we needed to. We could probably get it to around 8, you know, under 20. It would just be setting, you know, having some rebar that could be set up between screed rails. And then also you could compartmentalize, right? Where you don't have to necessarily take apart a 60-foot robot. You could do pieces and parts incrementally, right? You could just show a couple pieces joining together, and you know, there would be the need for some lifting equipment. So whether that be, we've done everything from, you know, telehandlers that can assemble it. We use cranes. We have an overhead crane in our facility. I know some, you know, it just depends on what the facilities have on them. And then as far as a rebar layout goes, it is getting rebar on top of chairs. We would love for it to be on top of deck pans, but we know that sometimes it's just not feasible. So even if it's outdoors on a pavement gravel type environment, we could throw some chairs down and it'll tie over the top of over the gravel just to get the training part of it done. It doesn't have to be an actual bridge deck. We do have porter rail. We have screed rails. We can also bring in our own kind of method to install screed rail where we don't need to put up edge forms, and we have edge forms.
Yeah. So one of the things, you know, there's lots of ways, but this thing can be outside or inside the facility. How high is our ceilings?
Our ceilings in our building, I wouldn't even know off the top of my head.
20, but you can go inside or outside. It's not it's not a huge footprint. And what was Buddy was talking about, we can either put some screed up. We also have a TyBot that can run on edge forms, which you could just do 2x4s, and it can maneuver up and down. So you don't need a long runway. It's just to get them used to the belly box, and then the movement of the tram, and then the configuration. The level 2 is where you need a little bit more space, because the intent on that is to be able to understand how to configure. This is almost like self-manage, right? So level 1, that one definitely, it can be done on the job. We'd probably prefer a training facility, and that's just a TyBot being there. Level 2, that one is if you have an employer or a local who says, all right, we want to get some of our own trailers. We're going to move this thing around. I want to be able to configure it. I don't have to call ACR for help at all. That would be your level 2. And we have a couple clients that are doing that now.
Okay. So if a training center, a regional training center was interested in, say, something like that 20-foot small model, so we could keep it in a certain section of the training center, what do you think that guesstimate cost would be for the training center?
I don't think the training center is going to be the thing. We'd have to kind of sit and talk about getting one of our TyBots out to you, and how usage of that, you know, machine. Is it something that we could keep there and deploy when we needed, or would you guys want to buy a dedicated one? it's probably the machinery is going to be more of the investment than the layout and the test site.
Agreed.
So just kind of context specifically. Okay. All right. If anybody has any questions for Danielle or Buddy, you can raise your hand in the chat there and we'll call you out. Does anybody have anything?
Well, I see there's one question there, but I'll ask you real quick. So, Buddy and Danielle, I'll send an invitation out to you now to attend our training session again in July in Ann Arbor. I'm sure as more people hear about this, they'll pay a little bit more attention year after year. So if you're around and available in July, I could send you the information and you can join us for vendor night again next year.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Okay, we've got one question in chat. Mike Peterson asks, will it tie vertical rebar walls or is it only horizontal?
Not yet. Yeah, we love that idea. Currently we are on horizontal rebar. So we're looking at going multi-story. We are starting to look at that world, ground slabs, CRCP. But right now it has to be horizontal placed bar.
Okay. Samson, I see you got your hand up. You are muted, my friend.
Yep, certainly had to unmute there. So again, Danielle, I talked briefly with you in the past. You'd talked like maybe shipping, you'd be able to ship them, talking about regional training centers. What would be the lead time if we wanted to do training and possibly shipping back and forth that way? Because that would probably be less of a financial cost than trying to purchase these, especially right out of the gate.
I mean, for this size for training, we could do that on the 40-foot, right?
We could even do it on a 20-foot trailer. I mean, I think it would just be, you know, what your training availability would be on a schedule. So if you were to say, hey, you know, Danielle, Buddy, I'm looking at doing training at the end of January, we just have to look and see what our fleet's at and then being able to pull from our fleet to get a training robot there.
Yeah.
Right now, there's, you know, we can make accommodations as need to be.
So when
Right
Michael was talking about regional training centers, just, you know, we probably have approximately 154 training centers across North America, but we have what we call 4 regional training centers that does specialized trainer courses. One is Local 5 in DC, Local 63 Chicago, Local 433, 416 Las Vegas, and then I think it's Local 721 Toronto. So those would be when we have large classes or specialty courses, I should say, that's what we're talking about as our regional training center. So
Okay.
you would be able to get that equipment, say, to Vegas, no problem, if you needed it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we would
We
get, I
can-
mean, yeah, we can commercially ship it.
Yep.
We can get it on the trailer. Obviously the closer to home, the more preferable. I don't know how you guys look at, you know, a regional center having it and then people being able to come. I'd probably say we'd look at East Coast, or we're getting pretty busy up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Illinois area. So that definitely would be a possibility. And then it would just be working back and forth with the training facility saying, you know, it's essentially stored up there and you guys could use it for trainings, but then if we need it for deployment, we only have 9 of these. So that's where, you know, as we start getting out to the market, there could be cases where they're just not available, but hey, worst case, it just means that you send some of your people out to the job to look at it. I don't know how viable that is.
Perfect. Anybody else got any questions for Danielle and Buddy? Okay, seeing none, I appreciate you guys, your presentation, good stuff. I will follow up with an email with contact information for everybody, how to get a hold of the folks over at TyBot so we can continue the conversation. Anything else, Danielle?
No, that is it. Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
We appreciate your time. Have a good holiday.
And thank you guys. You as well.
All right. Okay. Moving forward, we're going to jump into the National Training Fund representative reports. We'll go to Jason Corder.
Afternoon and morning, everybody. So a couple quick updates as I've been working my way into that QC committee. They're the ones watching over that QC 47. And I just had a meeting with them and they are confirming that the QC 47 is coming out first part of next year. We're going to be leading that charge with that. To go with that, we're going to have our QA manual will probably come out with that, or if not before that item. So talking with them, I believe that everybody at our training centers that is going to be giving tests is going to need to have that WPQ1 endorsement by July 1st. So Samson, watch out for the regional training centers and calendar. Make sure that if you haven't taken that class, make sure you're taking it. AWS is also giving them out, so you can do that. A
And
couple.
Jason, just to refresh my memory, if they get this endorsement, it entitles them for their 9-year recertification without testing. Is that correct?
That is true, yes. That'll put you right there at that 9-year. I want to give a good big shout out to Local 12 because they're getting their ATF. So they're on board with their ATF, so good with that. And another thing that I want to bring up, and I was talking to James about it, is OJT hours. So Linked Union has actually added that section. So they're able to do that, is add their OJT hours to the app. So if you look in your apprenticeship coordinators app, it's in there, it's under the membership tools. And so if you guys want to look at that, you can. And then you can contact Link Union with whoever you're dealing with, either if it's Maddie or Jesse, and ask them to add that to yours. And a report can be ran on the back end. So all the apprentices can put in their work hours. They'll actually have to sign it and have their foreman sign it. And then on the back end, you can pull reports and show how many hours in each work process that they have worked, and whittle that down a little bit. You can actually print that off and put that into the apprenticeship records. So that's really what I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I just want to say that Jason's been attending quite a few meetings with AWS. They're going through a lot of turnover at their headquarters in Miami. But the people that Jason is communicating with, you know, the ironworkers, the other trades that have a custom program like us, the sheet metal workers in the UA. And Jason, if there's any other trade, I don't know, but from what I heard from Jason, we seem to be on top of this. Our CWIs are getting this endorsement. July 1st is going to be here before you know it. So if you do not have that endorsement, please get it. And I encourage every training center. It's great to have one person with this endorsement, but you know, if this person drags up on you, becomes business manager, or leaves, and you're stuck without somebody, you're going to need a second one. So just keep that in the back of your head. It's always good to have a backup. Anything else on that, Jason?
It's going to be put into the WCP rules. It's called rule sets in the back end. Like every CWI testing supervisor has to have a valid certification. That's going to be put in that as well. Is if that somebody in your place is a CWI, but they don't have the WPQ1 endorsement, they will not be able to give certifications through the WCP. It looks like Mr. Watford has a question.
Yes, sir. Myself and my other test proctor is going to be at the one coming up in DC in April. Could you explain the course of that 3 days? What's going to happen in that 3 days?
So it's going to be a lot of quick going through PowerPoints a little bit, going through the books that you'll receive and talking a lot bit about how it works. And then the last day, we generally go through a lot of test questions and a lot of going over WPQ1s and how to fill them out.
So Richard, just so you know, Jason will receive an email from somebody across the country that just took and passed the exam, and he'll give him comments like, hey, next time you do a prep course, maybe concentrate a little bit more on this. I passed the test, but I could have done better in this one area. So our prep courses are getting better and better every time. But if you have taken the course and you've got some good helpful hints to improve the prep course, please let Jason Corder know.
Okay. And is this, we do the actual test on the last day, or is this something we got to come back and do it a Prometric?
It's a Prometric item. So James set up something a while back ago of how to set it up. We try to have you schedule the test the following week after closing and leaving the course, so everything's fresh in your mind. And AWS they're getting better, but they've sometimes taken 6 to 8 weeks to, after you register for the course, to get a code to go to Prometrics and register yourself. So it's always better to get that code, get it all registered. So right when you're finished with the course, you can step right in there and take the exam, and everything's fresh in your head. And you will know probably within 20 minutes of leaving the place if you passed or failed.
So would this be something be best to go ahead and register for that like now or next month, way in advance of that, so I can be good to go?
Yes.
All right. Anything else for quarter? Okay, sweet. All right, let's jump over to Mr. Tannehill, see what he's got going on.
So we have started a partnership with Industrial Training International, ITI, and Crosby to offer some training courses for the IICB rigging and signal person certification exam. Those will be available through the LMS training platform. I am not 100% sure when those are going to be available. I know some of them can be available almost immediately, and then the others, so they have to build and attach a signal person training course with the Crosby rigging course, so that functions as one course. And so that may take them a little bit longer. My assumption is by the summer training program, we'll have all of that stuff up and running and ready to go. There is a portion that is instructor led. The cost to be a trainer for that is kind of substantial. It's about $650 a trainer. We have talked to Impact, and through RAB grants, you can get monies to cover the cost of your instructors to get the instructor led portion of that reimbursed back to your local. And so that'd be good. Now that's access valid for 12 months. So then the next year they would just recertify for that training. That would be paid for by your Impact RAB and moved on. That's a 12-hour remediation course for those guys that are having trouble passing the rigging certification exam. There's also about 112 courses offered by ITI that would give information in bits. So it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Some of them are an hour-long sessions that are a cost per view, right? And but those also would be available for reimbursement through your Impact RAB, allowing your guys to take some additional training in areas where they don't really feel comfortable in the exam, and then that would give them a better opportunity to pass that information. And they can do all of this training from the comfort of their own home, except for the instructor-led training, which would bring those journeymen or women back to the office, back to the training center to train. So for those ones that saying, hey, I can't take off work, is there something that I can just do at home? This would be a good way to get them the additional training that they need to come in and sit for 2 hours to take the written exam, and then to come back and take on a scheduled date and take the 2-hour practical exam. So it really kind of free up what guys are able to do whenever they set out for training to pass the rigging and signal person certification exam. Now, so anyone who is due to get a recertification in 2024 needs to make sure that they get signed up before their certification expires, so that they can take that test and not have a lapse in their certification. The certification test is the full written and the full practical exam for all of those people that are looking to get recertified. If you have a facility that is an approved testing facility, then you will be required to redo your examination. As far as the EPRI goes, we're still doing EPRI training. We've kind of limited the number of classes that we have due to the previous year's enrollments in those courses or lack of enrollments in those courses. So if you know you're in a local that has a nuclear powerhouse or a facility that requires EPRI rigging certifications, and make sure that your guys are scheduled to take them, even if you're adjacent to a nuclear facility. So if you're in a local that's adjacent to a nuclear facility, go ahead and get that ability to train your members, because your members are more likely to go to the next local over looking for that work when time gets tough, right? Any help that your apprenticeship program would need to get that done, just let me know and we can walk you through that and get it done. That's all I have, Jason.
Gotcha. Hey, Brian, this is Joe at Level 5.
Yeah, Joe.
Quick question. So can I just go through the rigging certification with Randy and Alex, since they are proctors as well? Or do I have to go through the yours, I guess, international.
So you have to go through mine because we still have to do the rigging, the proctor training at the end.
Oh, okay, so you just gotta refresh the product trade.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So you'll have to schedule yourself for a class that I have in Washington.
Got it. Thank you. I think I'm already in.
Yep, perfect. Anything else?
All right.
All I got, bud.
Thank you, Tannehill. Appreciate it. All right. I got a couple things. The green energy stuff. I know we've been talking about the last couple webinars. I actually have a meeting with Bart tomorrow, and I'll let him kind of expound a little bit, but that's getting really close. We had a couple things that we had to handle prior, but you should be seeing that that green energy coming out on the LMS and being available very soon. If you have any interest again in mass timber training, we've got all of the stuff with Woodworks. I know that Jason Rafter over in California Vicinity District Council just bought 8 of the mock-ups. I believe they came out to be like 20 grand a piece, down from the 35,000 a piece. We were able to get with Woodworks and have those mock-ups kind of downsized to help our training center save a little bit of money. So they've got all of the curriculum built for you, and the mock-ups are available. Basically, they've got 3 or 4 different manufacturers around the country that will make those for the training center, and you can, and then they'll deliver them to you, and then the curriculum is free. I've talked about the Ironworker Viper pre-apprenticeship, that relationship before. Recently, we just piloted our first Viper evaluation day down at Local 229, Mike Peterson and Swanson down there. We had 3 veterans show up, and we ran them through an evaluation day where they were, upon completion, registered and placed to work. One of the individuals decided that ironworking really wasn't for him. Part of that evaluation day is packing rebar for 30 minutes. And so that'll kind of weed those individuals out who really aren't a fit for our trade. So we're looking to expand that Ironworker Viper. Basically, there's 2 pools of individuals that we are trying to service. So you've got your veterans who are already released from active duty. They have their DD 214. We've got a structure set up where we do a 1-day evaluation with those folks, and then they get direct entry. You've also got your 2-week pre-apprenticeship, if you will, where we take the service members who are still in active duty. They are within their 180-day transition from being released, and we will conduct cohorts, 2-week pre-apprenticeship cohorts during that time where they're still getting paid and supported in that space. And then upon release from the military, when they get their DD 214, they will get direct entry. So we're hoping to long-term do 3 or 4 of those a week. Right now, we're going to be piloting a couple on the West Coast. Basically, what Viper does is they find and gather all of the veterans around the country, consolidate them, start providing supportive services, and then they funnel them to our regional training centers and our apprenticeships across the country. So if you're interested in something like that, please reach out to me. We're looking for local training centers that are busy, looking for new apprentices who have upcoming work and are trying to kind of build that workforce. So reach out to me if you got any questions there. The pre-apprenticeship space, most of my time is spent, grant consultations, pre-apprenticeship, looking out for stuff. We've had a lot of grant consultations and pre-apprenticeship consultations this year. I just did one last week with Local 70. They're looking to implement a pre-apprenticeship program in their correctional facilities in the state, as well as working with Job Corps. Local 29 just got, $1.3 million in grant funding, and they're getting ready to launch theirs in the correctional facilities over there. So if you've got any interest in pre-apprenticeship stuff, again, reach out to me. We're doing a lot of that work. Grants, the grant money is insane out there. It is flooding from the federal government into your states. I probably send 6 emails a week out to different, 8 areas or training centers or business managers or coordinators with grant funding in your area. So if you have not partnered or had a discussion with your local government agencies, your community-based organizations who are working on creating workforce and, building the workforce needed for infrastructure, or working with your building trades, make sure you start a conversation with those folks, because there's a ton of money out there right now, and it's just being poured into your states. I can guarantee you there's money in your states that we could be using. And that's basically what I got going on. If anybody has any questions about Viper, pre-apprenticeship, grant funding, green energy, reach out to me. I'll help you get tuned up, and we will turn it over to Michael Sampson.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. A couple of things at the Regional Training Center. The calendar is out for next year. The 2024 calendar. It is on the ironworker.org under training, and then scroll down to, I believe, Regional Training Centers. And you click on, you got to scroll down to the bottom of that, and there's a calendar. And if you click on the calendar, it'll give you the kind of the course outline and stuff. And then the link is in the email we sent. I resent the email late last week, Thursday, Friday. The link, FYI, coordinators are the only ones that have that link, because we ask you guys to register people for these classes. We do have some online, like 510 coming up in January. Doesn't have a lot of people in it right now, but it is open. It's an online class, so a lot of your journey persons may want to take that class. I believe it's January 30th through February 2nd. And that's if you got journeymen that want to take a OSHA standards class by more, we're purposely leaving those online to open them up to more people. Then the 500s are still done online or at the regional training centers. But please look at the calendar and get your people registered earlier than later, so we can plan for them, get books shipped and all that kind of stuff. One thing I've asked for information on is clean room training. Maybe out west, some of you got those chip plants and you might know something about clean room training. That's one thing I've been getting questions out here in the Midwest is what's required for clean room training. And I assume that's in regards to those chip plants and stuff. So anything you guys got on that, I'd appreciate information on. MSHA, Lee kind of gave an update about that. It was very positive. Actually got to the head of MSHA, so we can maybe start working the bottom up and the top down and meet somewhere in the middle within their organization and have something going with MSHA, hopefully sooner than later. And the GWO, the Global Wind Organization, right now, we are going to have a big meeting at Local 5. I know some members from Local 40 are going to be there. James Owens is kind of spearheading a team of people from the West Coast coming out. We're going to have a general kind of one of our quarterly meetings, and where those people, people coming out that are interested in getting started with GWO. If you are interested, we could probably accommodate you for the training and or the I think Thursday of January 25th. On that Thursday, we're having that GWO meeting, and in that week, January 22nd through 26th, we could probably accommodate a few, not a lot, but a few, if you're interested in seeing what the GWO training is, and you could actually get the certification. We're probably gonna have a meeting this afternoon with Local 5, and hopefully I can get Brian Brady in on that meeting to get the details and everything squared away on that, so we can get that scheduled. But with that, that's pretty much it for me.
Any questions for Mike? All right. Okay, cool. We are cruising right along. Perfect. I see we have Bart on the line. Bart, did you have anything that you wanted to specifically talk about regarding LMS or any curriculum or anything that's coming up on your end?
Sure. I'm working on a couple things. Brian and I have been working on this IICB practical exam update. So you remember the old crane videos that we did years ago. They're all being replaced with new 3D animated cranes. So it's much greater clarity and there's no more background noise. And it's also higher resolution. So that's going to be ready, we think, for our next round. And then I've been working with James on the Green Energy series and Rick Sullivan as well. So there's 4 different titles. There's solar, wind turbine, offshore wind turbine, and mass timber. We've got the reference manuals are ready to go. I'm creating flip books of those for the LMS. We plan on having those up very soon. And we've got a series of quizzes and tests online as well that will be up very soon. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, James and myself. This stuff's pretty much ready to go. We just got to publish it and make it live. And that's the latest for the LMS.
All right. Any questions for Bart? All right. Everybody's quiet today. Okay. Well, we're getting right towards the top of the hour. I'll turn it back over to Lee for closing comments, and I wish everybody here a happy holidays and safe travels during those holidays. And I appreciate all of you being a part of this webinar and keeping the conversation going. So just a thank you very much. Lee, back to you.
Good. Last month at the webinar in November, Lisa Ransom from the ACE Mentor Program of America just wanted me to follow up. If you had any feedback, good or bad, that you could provide her, if you're interested in, being a mentor, she'd love to have you. And that information was sent last month through James through listserv. So please get a hold of Lisa if you have any questions. Second of all, I'm starting to get a few questions.
Oh, Lee, you just muted yourself. You must have hit the space bar or something. There you go.
Oh, I had my paperwork on it. Thank you. I'm getting some calls regarding the apprenticeship competition for next year. It's going to be the first week in October, local 63 Chicago. It's going to be a similar format as we were in Denver. The welding and birding will be combined. Obviously, we're going to mix it up, but it'll be that same format. That's about it. Other than, even if you do not have a competitor competing, do what you can to get that apprenticeship coordinator meeting. If you're getting some pushback from your business manager or district council president, please contact me. I'll have a meeting with them in the spring, letting them know the importance of having every coordinator there. So just keep in touch. So just echoing what James said, everybody have a happy holiday and a happy new year. Be safe. And James, that's all I got. Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it, Lee. Mike, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, since Lee mentioned it real quick, at Impact this year, just FYI, you coordinators, a lot of you don't get the opportunity to come to Impact. We are having a breakout session, GWO, on getting your facility kind of up and running. Again, Local 5 is going to be a big part of that. But just FYI, there is something for you coordinators at the Impact meeting this year. Again, it's going to be those of you that are interested in Global Wind Organization and wind turbines and stuff. So there is a breakout session about getting up and running on that.
Which is in February in Orlando.
Perfect. Yeah, I know we're going to be in that class, and we've got some West Coast folks who are interested in that. So, okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we close down? All right. Well, as I said, I appreciate you all being here today. Have a great holiday and good meeting. We will adjourn. I'm going to stop recording.